Welcome back to part 2 of my walk with Adeline. Last time, you met her as a gifted soul, someone who sees more than meets the eye. This time, we go beyond the gift into the human being. We talk healing, mantras, and we talk about the battle that we all fight and the light that we find inside of each other. If part 1 opened your mind, part 2 just might open your heart. This is Soul State, Mantras for the Journey.
I believe that as, human beings, there's so much to us that we don't even understand truly because of the noise that's around us all the time. In between work, if you have kids, or just life in general, the TV and all this digital stuff, it takes a lot of our energy because we're putting our energy into that. So we're taking away from ourselves as a whole. But sometimes when you quiet down and you kind of like take everything away and you get into this moment of peace and love, and you find yourself and your true self as a person, you're able to feel these things and understand these things and tap into what's actually your own power, right? Like who you are, who we truly are, and who we were meant to be. And that's some of the things that I do is like the past life rose readings. I read a person's energy, and a lot of the times it gives me a lot about that person and what are they doing that is affecting them, that they can't find their true selves and who they are, right? And I'm able to go into past lives and see in that past life what emotion or what are they struggling with that they brought into this life, because you continue to kind of like reincarnate from one life to the other until you kind of learn the lesson, right? So that actually does take a lot of energy away because you're tapping into somebody's energy, and each one of us, we reincarnate and we have a heritage, right? Like we have all these past lives that have taught us things and all these memories that we're kind of suppressing. And when you can stop the noise around you, you can start remembering who you are and what you are actually all about and what you can actually do. So
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I don't know. I'm just fascinated. I know you said it's not cool for you, but it's cool for me.
Oh no, absolutely, it's cool. It's just it's also a lot of work, right? Identifying ourselves and being able to be in the right frequency to remember who we are. And I truly believe that everything that's happening around us and all these things that they're coming out with is just distractions to take us away from who we are, right?
And I've talked about that before. It's really, so a lot of what I've done here in just the past year, because I don't know if you knew this, but it's been officially a year since I came to New York, and I'm a completely different person. I still have a lot of room to grow. I still have a lot of progress to make. But if you remember, you know Arzu, she saw me the other day and she was like, "You're like a completely different guy." She literally said, "You're a completely different person." And I still have a lot of work to do. I still have internal spiritual work to do. But I think I do know my purpose. I do know what's holding me back. I think I do. I know what drives me, what holds me back. And it's like I said in a previous episode, is if you can name your blessings, if you can name the things that help you, then you can name the things that are holding you back.
Correct.
So if you can sit here with yourself and go, okay, this is what's good for me, well, you can name what's bad for you. And you can work for both of those. You shouldn't just work towards one or the other. There is a balance between working for what's good for you and what's bad for you. You work, and it's not even just working against the bad, but we're working alongside it, working with your failures, working with the things that hurt you and hold you back. And because that's part of forgiving yourself, giving yourself grace, giving yourself self-care and trust and growth and healing, is not fighting against it, but fighting alongside it. And and same thing with the good. You can't have good without bad, bad without good. So with the good, You've got to walk alongside it. Don't dive straight into it, because that's just ego. That's just pride. If you're like, well, I'm the best ever because of this. No. If you walk alongside it and go, okay, I am good in these avenues, but I can always get better, and this is what I can learn. This is where I can grow. This is how I can use my talents, not just to help me, but to help the world. You know, because I do believe that we can all like sit together, work together, and heal each other and help each other grow, for sure. And
100%. I mean, I think that I truly believe that every single one of us has a purpose here, and we have a purpose in helping each other and being able to make that connection to take us to the other side, you know, to the next level, not the other side, but like the next level. And throughout my meditations, I have seen how we are all connected and we are all one. We're completely one, and we should be loving and accepting each other and just becoming one. And when that happens, our frequency just rises even more, right? Our healing rises even more. Like, we're meant to help each other rather than drag each other down. And I think that's a lot of it in these days, where we drag each other down, and we, you know, say all these mean things, and we gossip, and we do all these wrong things towards our brothers and sisters. And when I say brothers and sisters, I mean like everybody else around us.
oh yeah, like everybody. I know I'm guilty of that. I know that I'm not a perfect soul. I know that, you know, I definitely do gossip, and I definitely do say things that I shouldn't say, and then I'm either immediately or I do reflect on it later, and I'm just like, you know, that was really messed up, and I try my best to make amends. None of us are perfect. There's no way to be 100% perfect, and we can't fix what we did, but we can do something about it. We can't change what happens to us, but we can change how we react to it, you know? And
Correct.
every single day, we can take just one step, one breath closer to just being a little bit better at handling ourselves and handling other people.
And that's part of the healing process, right? It's part of who we are, and healing who we are, and understanding who we truly are. That's part of all of this. It's part of being able to understand that where you're struggling and where you are, you know, striving is a huge part of all of this. Being able to be self-aware, because then you can work in healing and breaking those attachments that do not serve you. Right?
Exactly. If you can name your blessings, you can name what's holding you back. And there's another analogy that I really love that I use, is like, we're all on this huge mountain range together. Each of us have our own summits, valleys, and peaks. And when you turn back and you're like, oh, well, you know, you're down here, I'm up above you, I'm doing better than you, you're distracting yourself from your own path. You're holding yourself back. If you turn around and you uplift, you're actually making progress.
Correct.
If you turn around, you're like, you're doing a really good job, like, I'm proud of you. You got to think, like, how often do we hear that from people, that I'm proud of you, that I love you? And people look at me like I'm weird whenever I say I love you, I'm proud of you. They're like, well, that's weird. You're not my dad. It's like, yeah, no, but I am a fellow human living life for the first time, just like you. And I know that these words affect me, and I want them to positively affect you. Even if they do say that's weird, I know that they probably feel the butterfly in their chest, like, wow, somebody just said that to me. And I know that I'm hoping that they feel that energy. Even if I'm not feeling the energy myself, I want to give that energy to others. And
well,
it can be exhausting.
I think with that is like, you can't give what you don't have, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself, and you have to be able to give yourself the right frequency and the right emotion, so you can be able to give it out. Because really, in reality, how I feel is that when you're giving somebody something you don't have, then you're giving them what you do have. So think about what you do have at that moment. If you're not truly feeling what you're saying, then you're not really giving them what they need.
I think that's the biggest thing I struggle with, honestly, is I want to have this profound energy, but I'm not giving that energy to myself. And because I'm not giving myself grace is the biggest thing with me. Like, okay, so I fill my car up with gas, it's $40. I go buy food, that's like $20. I beat myself up for the whole day. It's like, I just spent $60 and that's gone now. You know, instead of giving myself grace and going like, hey, you did good today. You didn't go out, you're not buying Nike shoes and collecting watches or something. Nothing against that, but I mean, you're not like spending a whole bunch of money. You're being graceful with yourself. I think that's the biggest thing I can learn, that I still need to learn, is while I do have my pros, my cons definitely do lie a lot in self-care and like looking inward at my spirit and actually taking care of my spirit, because I would like to think I have a good soul that wants to be good, but it doesn't do good to itself. It's very hard on itself. It's very cruel to itself. It's very mean to itself, and it just does a lot of damage. And like you said, like whenever you try to give something that you don't have, you give what you do. So if I'm trying to give a piece of my good soul to someone, but I still have a weak, exhausted, damaged soul, that's what I'm giving them.
Right.
And that's the energy they read off of me. They don't read the good energy. They read the damaged, hurting, exhausted energy. So I'm still learning how to like really like give myself grace, give myself, self-care and healing my soul and my spirit. This year I've done a lot of like mental healing, a lot of heart healing, and I think this next year is going to be a lot of like the spiritual stuff. There's going to be a lot of like looking at my soul. What does my soul need? What grace can I give myself? Forgiving myself and loving myself and stuff like that. Do you want to pause?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
But you are right, and that is some of the things that I have seen, because I ask these questions when I'm in meditation, right? Like I do ask these questions to my spirit guides and whatnot. And one of them, he showed me, or she showed me that you cannot give what you don't have, and that was an important lesson for me, because when you take care of yourself, and when you take care of your soul, and when you fill yourself up with love and care and gratitude and all these amazing emotions, naturally your body is going to release these emotions as well for other people to have to help other people, and it's going to give it to the people who actually need it. Sometimes we give our energy to people who we think need it, but sometimes it's not our choice to decide that, right? It's the universe, or the creator, or the source to make that decision. And all we have to do is fill our bucket with healing and the right emotions, and everything kind of falls into place for everybody else. It just naturally happens. You'll start attracting the right frequencies to your life, and you'll be able to release the right frequencies for other people.
And that ties so much into like, so I've iterated this so much, the beauty of working together, the beauty, because like you even talked about how much we can learn from other people, other cultures, other languages, and broadening our minds, and how that can just kind of level us up, and it can bring us to new horizons. And I think it's so important for us to understand that if we open our minds to not just our circle and us, but like that mountain range analogy, the summits, valleys, and peaks, like it's not just your summits, valleys, and peaks that are important, it's others as well. And when you work together, even if you're on completely different mountains, if you're working together to like communicate and work and heal each other, like, hey, this is a lesson I learned, here's a lesson you learned, we can learn together, we can heal together, you're gonna move a lot faster. And I think that there's just so much knowledge out there. That's why like I'm a big fan of culture, and learning other religions and cultures and languages and other people, and meeting them and seeing them and wanting to know their stories. I do feel like that does recharge my soul. I think this podcast in a lot of ways does recharge my soul, because I get a chance to sit down and hear someone else, and I don't know if it's me seeping off of their energy, or maybe like reciprocating energy, or what, but it makes me feel good knowing that maybe I'm helping someone. Maybe someone's gonna listen to this episode and they're gonna really feel it. There was the other day when my old coworker at the gas station I was working at for a little bit, she said that her son listened to my episode called The Man Who Failed Forward, and it's about, failure is a necessary milestone on the pathway to success. Yeah. It's about battling the perfectionist mindset and understanding that it's okay to not be perfect. It's perfectly fine to not be perfect, and that you can use your failures to push towards success. and that perfection is kind of a fool's chase. It's impossible. But we can use the failures and our setbacks and our hurdles to push us forward. And she said that her son heard that, and he was like so moved by it because he is a perfectionist, and now he's got a completely different mental idea as to like how to pursue life, you know, and he's going to carry that with himself. So if this whole podcast fails, if this never catches up to itself, I know that I at least helped one person, and that's what fuels me, you know.
And that's what it takes, right? If I can help one person out there, that person can help one person, and little by little we have made a difference.
Exactly. It's literally it's like you throw a snowball down a mountain, and by the time it's on the bottom, it's an avalanche. You know, one snowflake can cause an avalanche. It's like it's beautiful in its own way, and I especially in a world where we're moving and running and going and consuming and distracting, I do think it is so good and powerful to just sit with ourselves, sit with other people, and just heal together. Because if you heal alone, you're not going to heal fully. It's like what you were saying about the heart, that the wound was closed, but the you said like the string was still there. So the wound might have closed, but it wasn't healed. It wasn't truly
Correct,
healed.
it wasn't healed.
There was something still there. And that's what healing alone does. Yes, you're covering the wound. You're putting something there to stop the bleeding, but it's not healed.
It's not healed.
You've
Correct.
got to do the work. And it's not external. It's internal. It's looking at your spirit and your energy and your soul.
And that's when I actually started feeling energy more and understanding energy more, is when I started putting the work in, right? When I started putting the work into healing myself. And I went through some very, very, very painful memories that were causing some of my blockages. And I had to go into those memories and understand them and appreciate them and release them, right? I had to release them. And every time I do that, it takes me to the next level, right?
Exactly.
Every time I do that, it takes me to, something I never seen before, or understand something else that I never seen before. But I have to put the work in. And I think sometimes it's hard, because when you think about things that are traumatic, or you think about things that hurt, it hurts so much that you don't want to deal with it at all. You just don't want to know about it, and you kind of put it in this little box inside of you, and you say, I'm going to move on with life, and I'm going to do all the right things, and this is not going to affect me. But the reality is that it's still there, right? And it's still affecting you in a small way, because it's taking something away from you, and it's taking space inside of you where it does not belong. So
Exactly.
sometimes you have to, go into your own self and go through these traumatic experiences and understand them for what they are, and forgive whoever hurted you, and forgive yourself.
Forgive yourself.
You have to forgive yourself, and understand that it's okay. It's okay, and that life is okay, and you can move on from this just the right way, right? Like, you need to release that out of your body, because it does not belong inside of you. The way that you looked at the trauma might have been, what's causing a lot of the issues that you have today. And being able to release that and forgive yourself. And that was one of my biggest lessons, I think. One of my biggest lessons is that I had people in my lifetime hurt me, and I just couldn't forgive them. I just could not forgive them for a very long time. I couldn't, understand, why would somebody go out of their way, or not even out of their way? Why would somebody cause so much harm upon somebody else and get away with it, right? And going back into those traumas and understanding that everybody has their own karma, right? And the universe is going to take care of it. And, now that I'm into this work of past lives, I'm able to see that, sure, you can live this life and you might die, and you haven't, karma hasn't taken care of you, but you are going to go into another life, and you're taking that with you. And that is their karma, right? Like, I just have to take care of myself, love myself, forgive myself for even allowing me to be in that predicament or traumatic experience the way that it happened. and just a lot of love, you know, and understanding that things do happen, right? And that is part of each one of our growths. And what am I gonna take from that for me to grow?
Mm-hmm.
What am I taking from that, right? Is it courage?
Mm-hmm.
Is it more love? Is it, that what emotion and I'm taking from that? What memory am I taking from that so I can grow and I can become a better person every day?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's so important to understand that. So I remember whenever I was younger, not even that young. This was a couple of years ago, because this is a lesson that I recently learned too, and I think it's something that I can still learn a lot from, is understanding our past and walking through our past. Because I think of it like it's a lot like a giant river, and every time that you just let yourself pass through something that was traumatic, there's a blockage there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never going to go away until you go back and you do the work to push through it. And as soon as you do, you've got these different paths of your chakra, and eventually this stream is going to go out, and it's going to be beautiful and gorgeous, and everyone is going to be able to come and see your energy, and it's going to be gorgeous. Your chakra is going to be gorgeous, And so it was like 2022, and I was at a gas station. I was in On-Q. On-Q is like a lot like Cumberland Farms. And I remember I was sitting there, it was after work. Actually, it might have been on my lunch break. And I called my dad because it was around July, and he always makes a trip to Oklahoma from Kentucky in July. He goes to Lawton, which Oklahoma City is in the middle of the state. Lawton is to like the southwest a little bit, like an hour and a half. You have to pass through or around Oklahoma City to get to Lawton. So I called him because it always really upset me how he never stopped to see me. He'd always text me and be like, I'm in Lawton, but he'd never stop and see me. Because me and my brother live together. He has 4 kids, 4 or 5 now. But 2 of his sons, his oldest sons, lived in the same city, the same apartment, worked at the same place. All he had to do was stop by and say hi. And so I called him one day, and I was very emotional, and I was crying my eyes out, and I was like, Dad, why don't you come and see us? Why don't you stop by? And he literally looked at me, and I love my dad to death. I honor him and I respect him like crazy. But he told me, he was like, I'm not gonna make a trip to go see you. I'm not gonna stop in Oklahoma City to see you. I go every year to see my mom and dad. That's why I go. And I realized that I had idolized my father and put him in a role that he didn't belong in, but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't his fault. It's just who we were as people. It's his first time living. It's my first time living. And his love language is different than mine. His way to love his son is different than my way of wanting him to love me. And it's not wrong. There's 8 billion people in the world. There's 8 billion different ways to love. Countless parents, there's different ways to parent. I think there's right and wrong for sure, but it depends on the individual. And I think that for a long time I was mad at my dad because I didn't understand why he didn't love me. But eventually I realized he does love me in his own way. It's just not in that way, not in the way that I wanted him. I was putting him on a pedestal that he didn't belong on, but he's still on a pedestal.
But I think we all struggle with that, right? I think sometimes we struggle with putting an expectation on somebody else and
exactly.
who we expect them to be in our life.
Exactly.
And that itself causes a lot of trauma.
It does. And
that itself is us putting an expectation of how we expect somebody else to be.
Yeah.
Rather than loving and appreciating that person for who they are.
Exactly. And the presence
that's what
that
this is all about.
Yeah.
That is part of the healing. Understanding and loving somebody else for who they are, right? And making that connection with everybody around us and accepting them for who they are. We can't control everybody else's life, right? We have our own life to deal with. And it's a lot already to deal with your own life. Imagine having to control somebody else's life. And that's what an expectation does, right? You set an expectation and you're trying to control how that person acts towards you or how that person, those things that they're out of your control. All you can do is accept them for who they are. And if it's somebody who's consistently hurting you, you can set those boundaries and say, listen, I love you and I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but I can't allow that in my life.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And it is unfortunate that you would choose to take that path for yourself but I'm not going to allow myself to be in the same path.
Because what you're doing is you're protecting your energy.
Oh, absolutely.
And in a way, you're protecting their energy too. Because you're saying, I'm not going to put this harmful expectation on you, but I'm also going to understand where I sit as well.
Correct.
And loving someone and being present with them. I think that's something that I battled with a lot, was I didn't know how to just be present with someone else. I wanted them to fit into a box. And I think a lot of people don't want to admit that, but whenever you give them expectations and tell them what they should be, what they shouldn't be, mentally, you're not doing it externally, you're doing it mentally. You're telling yourself in your head, well, if they don't do this, if they don't say that, if they don't do... No, you're putting them in a box.
Yeah,
but if you learn how to say, I think it's so lovely how they can sit here and just be who they are, and that's just beautiful, and I love them for that. Because if you mentally do that, they're gonna feel that. They're gonna go, I think that's really great. They allow me to just sit here and be me. And I love my dad to death. We talk almost every day, and he loves my story up here in New York, and we've been communicating a whole lot, and we have this beautiful father-son relationship that if I could go back and talk to Chris in that gas station parking lot, he would continue to cry probably more.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we got the relationship we wanted, but it wasn't the way we thought. It was by getting rid of the expectation and dealing
and
with
accepting
and
who the other person was.
And I had to, and it was in 2023 or 2024 that I had to clear that blockage out. And it was actually like part of this year, the first like 6 or 7 months was really a lot of spiritual, it was healing my heart, my mind, and my soul. And it was bringing them all to like as much of a balance as I could, and a part of healing my soul was going back into everything that's happened to me and making peace with it. Going back and saying, yes, I've had these experiences, and it's nobody's fault. It's not even the universe's fault. It is what happened to me.
Correct.
And it's beautiful that it did happen, because look at who I am now. And without this, I wouldn't be who I am. Without this, I wouldn't have the purpose or the drive that I do now. And I know, like with my mountain analogy, the peaks, summits, and valleys are just as important as a peak or as a summit. Because if you can look back at your valley, or be in a valley, be in a low point of stagnation, of nothing going on, or just a very low point, like you're in an abyss, and you can go, I know I'm at this point, but I know I've been higher, and I know I will rise again. And like knowing that you're in a traumatic moment, but you're going to come out of it. That's how you can allow the river to keep going. And it does take time.
We make it traumatic, right?
We do,
make
yeah.
It traumatic. Because the same way that we put expectations on people, we put expectations on how life should be.
Exactly, yeah.
We are making it traumatic.
I think
we just have situations happen, and we need to be able to live through those situations, understand what they are, learn the lesson, like, hey, what am I supposed to be learning from this, right? And understanding that life is just life, and we're just kind of here just living, instead of putting an expectation of what life should be.
Exactly. I think that, and it's not easy to live like that, where you're allowing yourself to process as you go, but it is so freeing, because whenever you allow yourself and you give yourself time, like if something happens to me and I'm like, okay, this is actually affecting me, I know, okay, I need to give myself space. I'm going to turn my phone off, I'm going to go home, I'm going to turn off all my electronics, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to sit with this, because this is raw right now, this is happening right now, and I want my chakra to be clear. And it's not always perfect, it's never perfect, you're going to skip past things, you're going to have to go back. No matter what, you're going to have to go back and go, okay, I didn't process this fully, I should go back and re-look at this. And, understanding that, like I said, we're not perfect, we're giving ourselves these expectations. Like, there's a lot of expectations for my first year in New York. I expected so much of myself. But the thing is I can look back and go, this is what I've accomplished. Even if I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to, there is a lot that I have. And there's a lot of progress that I have made. We put this timetable on ourselves of like, I have to be this at this time, do that at this time, otherwise I'm a failure. And the truth is, no, you're human, and your energy isn't built around a clock.
Yeah.
And you've got to allow yourself the time to process, the time to go through it, the time to say, okay, I'm going to sit with myself or sit with someone else and that's why therapy is so important, because therapy allows you to sit with someone who truly, they're going to listen to you, they're going to help you heal, they're going to help you process everything, and see it from like you told me that one time, from an outside perspective.
Correct.
Even just voicing it and putting it out into the universe, you're going to go, wow, I didn't think of it like that. Those were your exact words. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Listen, and I stick by it. Most
Yeah.
of the time, I think all of the time, we know the answers. We know exactly what we need. We know exactly who we are. And, we put ourselves in these little boxes where we're not really truly seeing it. But even being able to speak to someone else, whether it is a therapist, a friend, a family member, somebody that you trust, or, even the psychiatrist itself, saying it out loud, it puts you into perspective of like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was feeling that. I didn't even know I knew that. I didn't even know I understood it like that.
Yeah.
Right? So being able to speak it out loud and hearing yourself is a light bulb on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own healing and growth that they go through. And I don't think that there is a blueprint. I don't think there is. I think everybody individually has their own blueprint. But I am a strong believer in helping each other and allowing, and it's something, like I said, I have to learn self-care. I have to learn to give myself grace and to trust myself, because a lot of what you said, like we know who we are and what we need. It's just putting it out there and saying, yeah, this is it, this is what I need, this is who I am. I know you probably have to go.
So yeah,
it's okay.
And it was nice doing this. This was a great experience, absolutely.
It's not gonna be the only time. Like we can sit like I'm probably gonna split this into 2 episodes. I'm gonna be honest, because we went from spirits to like, this was actually really good. It's an hour and 20 minutes. I can split that into 2 episodes.
Hey, listen, even the next time we see each other, I can probably do a past life rose reading.
I was gonna ask that, but we were so into it.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even look at my laptop, bro. Adeline's walk reminds me that healing isn't a finish line. It's a path you learn to walk with more grace every day. Her story has been a gift to me, and I hope it's been a gift to you too. If this conversation spoke to you, let it breathe into your own life. This has been The Walk-In. I'm still your new Yoki host, and this has been Soul State, Mantras for the Journey.